The NBA Draft is an annual event in which all NBA teams can draft players eligible to join the league. It is one of the most anticipated events of the year. It is where stars are born coming from all over the country and even the world. In this video, I'll be giving you my list of the top 10 NBA draft classes of all time. First up at number 10, we have the 1950s draft class. The first 35 years of the NBA drafts didn't produce too many top-notch classes. That's not because there wasn't too much talent until the 1980s, but rather because the talent was too spread out. Case in point, Wilt Chamberlain 1959 and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 1969 were two of the greatest players in NBA history. But the third most successful players in the respective draft classes were Dick Barnett and Steve Mitz. Each appeared in just one All-Star game in his career. 1950 was one of the exceptions to that rule, producing 4 future Hall of Famers: Arizin, Cousy, Sharman, and Yardley, and a fifth player, Fust, who fell just shy of averaging a double-double, 13.7 points per game, 9.8 rebounds per game, while making 8 All-Star games in his career. Up next is the 1970s draft, and most years there's at least one dud in the top 5 picks. The year before this draft, Terry Driscoll and Larry Cannon went 4th and 5th and combined for 4.8 career win shares. The year after this draft wasn't much better, as a number 4 pick, Ken Durrett, and number 5 pick, George Trapp, amounted to 9.0 career win shares. In 1970, though, all 5 teams at the top of the draft were pleased with their first picks, as Bob Lanier, Ruddy Tomljanovic, I literally just did not say his name correctly, Pete Maravich, Dave Cowens, and Sam Lacey each played at least 10 seasons, scored over 10,000 points, and accounted for at least 46.7 win shares. Next up is the 1998 draft, and the number 1 pick ended up being one of the biggest busts in the history of the league. But even Michael Olowokandi couldn't keep this class from finishing in the top 10. There are 48 players who have scored at least 20,000 points between the NBA and ABA, and this draft produced 4 of them. The 2009 NBA draft is considered one of the greatest of all time as well. It was tough to put any drafts from the past decade on this list, since those players aren't close to finalizing their career win share totals. Even in the too early call department, only 2011 Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas, Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, etc. stands out as a visible candidate from the 2010s. 2009 was an exception to that rule, though, thanks to 3 of the most valuable players in the game, which would be Stephen Curry, James Harden, and Blake Griffin. The 1999 NBA draft was by far the toughest class to rank, but I'm putting it at number 6. There isn't a first ballot Hall of Famer in the bunch, but 5 guys with at least 100 career win shares and a total of 14 players with at least 50 career win shares is ridiculous. With one exception, every top 10 pick in 1999 panned out well. Number 2 pick Steve Francis flamed out in a hurry after 6 great seasons to start his career, but he was hardly a bust. The only dud in this top 10 was number 5 pick Jonathan Bender, who ended up being one of the least successful players to make the leap straight from high school to the NBA. The 1987 NBA draft produced a lot of talented players, and the coaches and general managers at the top of the draft did a great job of evaluating that potential. 10 of the top 12 picks would accumulate at least 46 career win shares. The only one who fell short of the mark was number 3 pick Dennis Hobson and number 4 pick Reggie Williams. This ended up being the only draft in the 1980s in which the team with the number 1 pick actually selected the best player. The San Antonio Spurs took the Admiral David Robertson, who was named to an All-NBA team in 10 of his 14 seasons and won the 1995 MVP award. One of the best shot blockers of all time, Robertson helped steer the Spurs to 2 NBA titles. Next up is the 2003 NBA draft, and as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't hold a candle to our top 3 drafts. In 1985, the 7th best player drafted was Charles Oakley. In 1984, it was Kevin Willis, and in 1996, it was Stephon Marbury. Here, it's Kirk Gingrich, who was never named an All-Star and who produced at least 25 fewer win shares than each Oakley, Willis, and Marbury. It doesn't get much better from there, with just 10 players who amassed more than 40 career win shares and just 5 who were All-Stars multiple times. Moreover, the number 2 pick from this class, Darko Milicic, turned out to be one of the biggest busts in draft history. But 2003 made up for that lack of depth by providing NBA fans with 4 of the best players of the past 2 decades. That would be LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. Coming in at number 3 is the 1985 draft, and the legendary player was the 13th pick, Karl Malone. Though the mailman never won a title, this 14-time All-Star trails only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain on the NBA career win shares leaderboard. Malone is also number 2 in career points and number 8 in rebounds. It's hard to fathom why he doesn't get more recognition when we argue about the greatest player to ever play the game. The 1996 NBA draft produced one of the greatest players of all time, Kobe Bryant. Although Kobe Bryant never played a game for the franchise that drafted him, rather than dominating for the Charlotte Hornets, the 18-time All-Star and 2008 MVP led the Los Angeles Lakers to 5 titles. The 2-time scoring champ is also 3rd in career of the points leaderboard. And finally, at number 1, we have the 1984 draft. Similar to the 2003 draft, there's not much depth here. Only 7 players from this class made it to an All-Star game, and 2 of them, number 9 pick Otis Torth and number 11 pick Kevin Willis, went to just 1 each. But the star power at the top of this class is second to none. In NBA history, 20 players have accumulated at least 161 shares, and 4 of them, which is 20%, were drafted in 1984. Michael Jordan, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, and Hakeem Olajuwon. Only 2 other classes, 1960 and 1987, produced multiple members of this club, and 1984 is the only one with at least 3 such legends. I mean, if it's the draft class that's going to produce Michael Jordan, you know it's automatically the best draft class ever. Just my opinion. That is it for the video, guys. If you agree with this list, slap a like on it. And well, if you don't agree with this list, still slap a like on it. It really helps me out a lot. Remember, if you're new here, subscribe with those bell notifications on so you don't miss any uploads. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's highly appreciated. You're awesome. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one.